The fifth Bitcoin halving is over 1,300 days away. The idea that Bitcoin wouldn't hit a new all-time high within the next 1,300 days is absolutely ludicrous, in my opinion. I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point, though I can't say guaranteed, but it's sure close. The intro to this video showed you that 8 months, 6 months is usually around the time that Bitcoin is breaking the all-time high. We're at the 4th month, which means in theory, we are, maybe 2, 3, 4 months away for Bitcoin to begin trending above the all-time high, not just touching it, right? The second halving, we touched it, came back, and then 8 months later, we started to trend above the all-time high. Last halving took 6 months. In theory, we have about 2 to 4 months from right now, and we will start to trend above the all-time high. So this time is not different. I know people kept saying that, but this time is no different. We're on schedule. And even the altcoins are on schedule, believe it or not. If we look at Bitcoin dominance up close, you'll see it's above this resistance line right now. And that is a multi-year resistance for Bitcoin dominance. So we are starting to see peak above that resistance. Now, last time I mentioned this, I actually said I wouldn't be surprised to see a blow off top in dominance above this resistance line before pulling back into alt season. So would it surprise me if we saw another fake out up for Bitcoin dominance before a major push into alt season? No, that would not surprise me at all. Quite possible. Like I said, this time's not different. We're gonna have an alt season at some point. And the question is, when are we gonna see that turnaround in Bitcoin dominance? Well, if you look at the total 3, right now the altcoins are still consolidating, right? And the setup here is also no different. We are at the exact same timing as the previous cycle from 2020, 2021, but 157 after the peak is when you break the lower high. And currently we are still on schedule. About November, in the month of November is when we would expect the altcoin market cap to break its lower high. And once the altcoins break out of this consolidation range, that's when you would see Bitcoin dominance begin to trend downward. When does Bitcoin dominance begin to trend downward? After Bitcoin breaks the all-time high, that's when Bitcoin dominance begins to trend downward. In every cycle, that's how it goes. And so as long as Bitcoin is below the all-time high, I think that there's gonna be a lot of demand for Bitcoin. So dominance may still trend up until we actually break out. And that is the total 3, the altcoin market cap. Today in the Patreon Discord, I listed 3 new altcoin picks. You guys, there's limited slots here. There's an annual discount. Take advantage of this. I don't talk about altcoins on this channel. I usually just stick to Bitcoin or the altcoin market cap. If you want to see specific altcoin picks, that is what I'm doing in Patreon Discord. That way we can keep the subjects separated for the audiences that don't like me talking about altcoins. So click that link below and join today if this is something that you're interested in. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, we can see that we are getting the most reliable signal throughout Bitcoin history. In my opinion, the weekly RSI breakout signal is the most reliable signal of all time. I can't really find one that's better than this. Whenever we clearly break the weekly RSI resistance, we go on major runs. And so whenever we break out of the RSI resistance line, where does that lead us? That leads us, that's a 6-month run in 2019. And then here after COVID, when we broke the RSI resistance, that led us on a 1-year uptrend. The next time we broke the RSI resistance down here, that led us on you could say 6 months to that peak right there. And then after that, the next one, which was not far after that, was about almost exactly 6 months. So usually when we break this, it's at least 6 months to the upside. And guys, that's where we are. We're getting the signal right now. The weekly candle still has to close, but if you take a look, zoom in, you'll see we are breaking that weekly RSI downtrend line. So this is giving us the signal of a macro bullish pivot for 6 months to the upside. November, December, January, February, March. That is a lot of time, 6 months, guys. This is not just an opinion, guys. This is based on data. It's based on a very reliable signal throughout Bitcoin history. That's what seems likely to me right now. We had the Fed cutting rates, market reacted positively, stocks are up, all-time highs, Bitcoin's pumping. I don't have any reason to believe that Bitcoin won't see a new all-time high soon and begin trending into a new all-time high. We're on schedule. Once again, we're only 4 months after the halving. Bitcoin only has to go up about 16% now. 16%, and we're at a new all-time high. That's it. We're really close. We're much closer than people expect. And once Bitcoin begins trending into that new all-time high, however long that may take, that's when the altcoins begin to kick off. That's when Bitcoin dominance drops, but that is also when Bitcoin trends the hardest. And when Bitcoin is trending the hardest, interest in crypto goes up, which means all the other coins start pumping with Bitcoin, sort of like an everything season. That is usually how this plays out in this industry, in this market. In the last cycle, if you take your fibs from high to low, now I know I'm not using log scale fibs, but you can see that Bitcoin from high to low hit the 3618 in the last cycle high right there. If you look at Ethereum from the last cycle, you'll notice that Ethereum also hit right around that 3618. From high to low using the regular fibs, 3618 target hits. Bitcoin from high to low, 3618 target hits. So they both followed the same target in the last cycle. And so I don't think we're gonna hit the 3618 in this cycle. I promised you guys in the last video we would talk about upside targets. So that's what I'm doing right now. If we go from high to low, I don't think we're gonna hit the 3618, right? I mean, that's 210,000 roughly, but it is possible that we hit, 102,000 right here. And if we're having a really good cycle, maybe somewhere above that. And I know a lot of people have become very pessimistic on the Bitcoin price, the Bitcoin market. For some reason, I'm not sure why, because we're sitting right near the all-time high. We've been trending up since 2023 started. It's just been a macro uptrend. People are just impatient. Bitcoin's been performing fantastic. There's no reason to think that it won't continue to trend in this way. Now, more specifically, the median target based on a reducing ratio, 60,000 divided by 6, 10,000 divided by 5, 2,000 divided by 4 equals 500, which gives us a low end of 95,000 as a low end target. This is the target that I put in my Patreon. 95,000 is the minimum target for Bitcoin in this cycle based on the reducing ratio. The highest possible target is going to be 190,000. That's the high end, less likely. Right? Low is more likely, high is less likely. What's right in the middle of those two is 142,500. That is based on a reducing ratio. So that is what I'm looking at right now, 142,500. And if you go to Bitcoin on the long term, for those of you that have the indicator that I created, the Bitcoin halving cycle profit indicator, which is free to use on TradingView, you go to the settings here, you look at it this way, you'll see that normally after the halving, in between 40 to 80 weeks is the area of highest profitability. It's not 40 weeks, it's not 80 weeks, it could be 40 weeks, it could be 80 weeks, but it's in between these two, right? I mean, it's quite a large time range, but this is consistently the area of highest profitability. In 2017, 2018, we topped out right around the 80th week. 2021, the end of 2021, we topped out right around the 80th week. The first peak came in closer to the 40th week. So in theory, right now, if you're looking at this indicator, it's showing that January of 2025 is 40 weeks after the halving. So likely we're trending up to at least January. And like we were talking about earlier in this video, that 6-month time frame, March, April, somewhere in there could be the target zone. And if that is the case, we hit a target up there, we would probably consolidate through the summer. And then if we were going to get a higher high, see that around September, October of 2025. That is very, very speculative idea, but I think we're going to be trending up until at least, beginning of 2025. Right? Worst case is that we pretty much just trend into the new year and then that's it. And then we have a long bleed out, for a couple of years. That's like worst case scenario in my opinion. But I'm very confident that we're going to see new all-time highs. But that is my general view on the big picture here. Once again, the weekly RSI breakout is a huge deal for Bitcoin. Historically, it's one of the most reliable signals, and it signals at least 6 months to the upside, which brings us to March, April of 2025. And once again, a reminder, I don't really talk about specific altcoins on my YouTube because many of my audience members don't like that. So I've separated it into the Patreon. These are limited slots, limited prices. Once we trend above the all-time high, I'm going to increase the price to limit the amount of people coming into the Discord. You can only get in my Discord by becoming a Patreon member, and we do have the 16% annual discount. By the way, guys, this platform is Kraken Pro. If you guys haven't signed up, be sure to sign up using that link below. I also have a tutorial for Kraken Pro. That's it, guys. That's it for today. Smash the like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.